G'day, it's Dr. Rich Mclean. I'm an author, advocate, academic, and I'm homeless and in the middle of a human tragedy. It's been framed by a state and local and federal government conspiracy. This is a message on the 26th of January for the attention of the Australian public and the Attorney General and the Office of the Prime Minister and Cabinet. Here we go. I just wanted to say that this video on killim.info is going out to the government, and additionally it's going out to the Australian public in order to help, I hope, support me and avoid a terrible tragedy which has already happened and the government's covered up in my death, which was fatal and was then covered up by the agencies, governments and statutory organisations, and I was further desecrated. So here we go, we're going to tell this story, and I'm going to back it up with facts and undeniable evidence, and it will no doubt have to be alleged and acknowledged by the government, and it can also be perused via people's intelligence and critique on the information on this website, and you're going to be able to ledger it yourself. And if nothing else, public, you can't help me, don't hurt me, and take this to the police. Thanks. I haven't got much time to get this all together, so I'm going to do it pretty quick. It's a very lo-fi thing, but I'm a lo-fi guy. That's because I'm homeless. I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, can I please have this acknowledged immediately, say before like 10 days time, because I'm being absolutely slaughtered at the Administrative Appeals Tribunal, and I'm actually a multi-millionaire on paper, and I've been insanely, and I use that because I am insane, desecrated by the Australian government and its agencies, and I'll prove that beyond reasonable doubt, and further that it ended in my suicide, which may as well have been called a conspiracy to murder, and that was then covered up by agencies, and I was further desecrated over an entire year. I've been denied access to the police, I've been denied litigation. It took nearly a whole year for me to see a psychiatrist. I'm going to introduce to you now a little bit about me and what I've done in my life, and where we go from here. Thanks. So, public, a little bit about me, so you can tell I'm a worthy cause to support. I think anyone with sentience is a worthy cause to support and not be desecrated in order to aid and abet their death, which is what's happening at the moment for me. But and I'll prove that beyond reasonable doubt here. But I'm an artist of all my life. I've worked as an illustrator for The Age and the Herald Sun. I'm the Human Rights Awarded autobiographer of a book, Recovered Not Cured, which got Sane's Book of the Year and also earned me a Human Rights Award. I've been a public advocate. I have, through my entire life, advocated on behalf of marginalised people or people more marginalised than me in order to reduce suffering. And I've spoken everywhere, from actually inside Parliament House to an international ambassador in Montreal of the School of Religious and Philosophical Studies. I've been to Outback Dubbo, I've been to Sydney, I've opened conferences, I've opened exhibitions, I've spoken from Warrnambool, I've done talks at the Mental Health Research Institute with SANE, with Origin Youth Health. I guess I knew all the big moves and shakes in the mental health movement, and I was quite a nichely famous individual. Now it seems I'm infamous for having stood up for myself, and today I stand up for myself in absolute abhorrent opposition of what has happened to me and what I will prove beyond a reasonable doubt for the purposes of me not being dead or homeless or a vagrant, which has basically happened now. I've had an uphill battle my whole life, and it's been a very difficult journey for me. I've tried my best to hold myself together in order to help other people where I can. And just recently, after my doctorate, I ran a 2 year or 2 or 3 year business as a registered therapeutic support for the NDIS as an arts therapist, and I helped a lot of people there, as was my role. But things started to go downhill, and the framing of me was only in retrospect happened long ago. So I'm going to go into that in a minute. But first, I'd like to see this acknowledged within a week. Otherwise, I'm going to have to rely on the public to save my soul from this fate. And if you want to know more about me, there's an old website that I used to go under, richmclean.com.au, which is just down there underneath this video. And please have a look. It's got some links there. It's got some of my art. It's got some of my drawings. It's got some of my books and creations. It's got a abridged version of my autobiography. There's a film on my life and art by the Dax collection. You can view it all for free, or if you can't contribute or are not able to, feel free to spread the word about my art, because I've really spent a lifetime doing this. And the latest book, Certain Beauty and Unresolution, is the collection of Dr. Rich Mclean and what led up to my study with young people and posthumanism in the future world. Choose, have a look. I also want to add, just at this point, that I've been diagnosed with various labels, which are more like death sentences by the same people, to be cast on me, including, but not limited to, schizophrenia, bipolar, schizoaffective disorder, ADHD, personality disorder, adjustment disorder. I've had depression, I've had psychosis, or what I prefer to call now non-ordinary reality, and I've had a heinous time. Hello, Crystal. There's my dog. She's my beautiful girl. And to actually prejudice someone for the purposes of taking advantage of what you said you were assigned to, or for if I was gay, or if I'd used drugs in the past, or if I'd had a mental illness, and to actually use those things against you by the government is actually heinous and disgraceful way to discriminate against someone. And just further, just while it's on my mind, I want to prove beyond reasonable doubt that there is a case for compensation that the government should give me, simply, not only as a sentient being, but who is under great risk and who has no medical care, can't see a doctor, can't get a lawyer, can't go to the Ombudsman, can't go to the Attorney General. I can't go anywhere. I have been systemically and utterly framed. There is no other way to say this than to say I've been desecrated, I've been framed, maimed, blamed, heinously victimised, which is against the law, and this is a conspiracy to pervert the course of justice, which is ill at ease with the legitimate laws of our country. I'm a citizen of this country, and I've been denied whistleblower rights by IBAC, by APRA, by APRA, and by sorry, I have memory problems, by the National Ombudsman. And to that cause, I have no choice but to go public with this. So please bear with me. I have got most likely very much acquired brain injury from losing the entirety of my blood in the hospital, which was then covered up and being found accidentally. So I actually would have been dead. So it was whatever had happened that led to that point. Those responsible was murder. And what was I going to say? I was accidentally found with unresponsive, with no blood and no observable pulse. So you don't get much more dead than that. That cover-up is sufficient enough for itself to cause alarm. It has been condoned by the ombudsmans and the government and the hospital and everyone who is paid by the government and attached to it to protect those in positions of money, power and privilege against me, who is a marginalised and already known suicidal person, and they aid and abet my death by desecrating me this way in the hope I will kill myself before I get justice. That happened, then it was covered up, it wasn't enough. Then they desecrated me more. Okay, I said I was a multi-millionaire, and here's some of the reasons why that is. I don't even want the money. I just want a life free from persecution, a simple life as a Buddhist to share with my dog. I was a former partner of someone who was an ASIO agent. It was a toxic relationship, and he escaped, being a criminal mastermind with over $1 million in super. I spent my nest egg on him. He left me bereft with his dying dog and refused to acknowledge a separation of equity. I am banned from getting a lawyer. I have no money to get a lawyer. And also I have hitmen threatened on me if I do come after him. I don't feel safe. I actually had a hitman at the door last week, and I was threatened again today. Think I can go to the police? Think again. I'm banned from the police. I've actually tried to report my murder, and the murders of people I know about, and they've refused to acknowledge me. That's $500,000. That is not a cool thing. I want that acknowledged immediately, please. In 2017, I was very sad because a friend of mine had suicided. I expressed to my GP that I was suicidal and the way and how and all that kind of stuff, and he didn't offer me help, and he actually gave me the dose to do it with. I didn't think of it at the time, but weeks later I did overdose. I was lucky to survive. I moved house, moved down to Ocean Grove with my friend Susie, and I actually found the suicide note as I lay there, losing breath, becoming unconscious, and it made me sad because my life has always been a really valuable thing. To die of grief is a terrible thing, and when you're so isolated and prejudiced and discriminated against because you've apparently got a label of a mental illness despite the proving your critical thinking by doing a doctorate, it's a very terrible burden to carry, and I had a recording of that interaction. Needless to say, whether it was right or it was wrong, it is legal tender for a court, and the following people covered it up. So there was it went from APRA to the police to NHPOPC to the Maribyrnong Criminal Investigations Unit. I have no problem with the doctor. Everyone makes mistakes. I don't want anything to happen to him, and I always defended him, and I always said I don't want anything to happen to him. Only after I came into hospital from suicide had I found out that I'd been framed as an extortionist. But at the same time, at that time, I was given $100,000 from my former landlord, where my former partner was, and I bought a candle, I bought some Tibetan prayer flags and a crystal, and that's all I bought, and that was it. And then he said that he made a mistake and he wanted the money back, so I gave it back to him. I suffice to say, with the altruism and my passions, they're not money orientated. I haven't sold my soul to the highest bidder and got a mortgage and all that kind of stuff. Like, that hasn't been my life. I didn't want it to be my life, and it isn't. Money's not my currency. Ethics and justice absolutely are. I followed that being set up again and again with that doctor's issue for years, and I was set up to fail at every time, and the entire time they witnessed me becoming so distressed, it was like they were aiding and abetting my death by the very familiar tactic of defer and delay. I'm not accepting defer and delay anymore. If I don't get my rent money paid in about 10 days time, the police are going to take me and they're going to move me on where I don't know. I'm guessing, because I've already been threatened with it, that I will be incarcerated, a ward of the state, because they think I'm some kind of madman or something. Anyway, I've been threatened with that. We'll see how we go. But that every medical malpractice case, if it gets proved in the court with legitimate evidence, is worth about $350,000 in Australia. Now, the movement to silence that evidence includes people that go to Greg Hunt, and I've got a personal letter from Greg Hunt. I've got a personal letter from other people. Very many important, notable people have silenced that evidence in the hope that I will go away. I didn't, and I am still here. That's $350,000. I'd just like to say too that after that, AFCA I'll go into another bit in a minute. Hang on. I just want to say about my basic situation now. Currently, it's the 26th of April, Australia Day. I am squatting. If I don't come up with rent money in 10 days' time, the police will move me on. I have no money. I have barely any food. My parents have been so hard to deal with me. They just buy me a bit of Weet-Bix and stuff. I've been abandoned by my family. I have barely any healthcare. It's been nearly a year since I officially died in a hospital, and I had 2 really shoddy cover-up psychiatrist appointments. When the legislation says clearly you must be followed up every 2 days or something, or every week, because it's a risk of suicide, which they well knew. I saw a psychiatrist twice in 11 months, and the first time was appalling, and the second time was to actually invite me in to officially kick me off the system. I was desecrated from that place because they were an arm of the hospital which I threatened to sue. And in the latest hospitalisation, where I caught COVID, thanks family, I went to hospital again, and I got out the day before Christmas, and it's taken nearly a month to see one psychiatrist. So if I had cancer and I was denied an oncologist for 13 months, there'd be absolute outrage. As it turns out, I actually do have a cancer. See the bit one nose there? Just been burnt off, and there's one here, and there's one on my back. I need healthcare. Everyone deserves healthcare. Anyway, I'll go on. I'm rendered a voiceless vagrant. I can't go to police. I can't get a lawyer. I am banned from the Human Rights and Equal Opportunity Commission. I am banned from the Mental Health Complaints Commissioner. I am banned from the Mental Health Legal Centre. I am banned from the Mental Health Complaints Commissioner. I am banned from Werribee Mercy Hospital. I am gaslighted, rejected, delayed and deferred by the State Ombudsman and the Federal Ombudsman. I've been rejected by Michaelia Cash, the Attorney General. I have been moved on from Comcare to the AAT. I've been banned from calling my HF insurer, who owed me $75,000, and banned from so many people. I'm not a bad person. I've worked the beat, and I've done my duty as a human being. If I die, they're going to welcome me, let me tell you. But I have no avenue or agency or voice to complain apart from this sentience, which is coherent, I think, and explaining it succinctly. I have been rendered by this government a literal refugee that is innocuous as just a neutral pawn in my own democracy, which has whistleblower rights. I am totally innocuous in my agency to act apart from this voice, and I am banned from reporting crime to police and legal. I'm living with said mental illnesses before, and now a marginalised brain through the blood loss and a possible acquired brain injury. I have been systemically victimised by local, state and government authorities and agencies, and that has been a heinous victimisation which is against the law, and it adds up to a systemic conspiracy that is oppressive to pervert the course of justice, which is abhorrent for a person who's given so much in their life. I just wanted to say that I'm utterly framed. I learned I was framed in a couple of ways, and I have hitmen on me, and I've been outright rejected from every single place of complaint in the land. So in addition to that, I've been exonerated from my job, my business after hospital, when I was collecting my evidence to take to a court or tribunal or somewhere to get some justice. Micron21, the people that hosted my website, they decided to send me an email out of the blue saying, "Oh, you're being too conspiratorial. We do not have nothing to do with your issues." I know, call them conspiratorial, right? And they immediately, without my knowledge, went out of their way to delete all of my backups, all of my emails, my website. It was in heinous ruins. I've only just got it back. That's richmclean.com.au that you can see below here. And it destroyed all of the evidence that I had, that I was recording and collating in terms of defending myself. So I had some backups, but a lot of it was ruined. But I still say, legitimately, all of the things I claim on this video application for compensation from the government and a plea to the public to support me has absolute 100% acknowledgeable factual detail posted on this website. There is absolutely no legible way that you could get around saying what has happened. It's too late for the government to backtrack that this tragedy has occurred and admit a large sector of responsibility. But it's also too late for me to backpedal and utterly impossible to move on in any way, if that's not the case. So people have told me to move on, but I believe it's now my role to stand up for myself as a certified marginalised, forgetful person, but still who has sentience and who has needs and lives in a democracy where these things are usually provided. I'm not just being innocuously ignored. That's the thing. If I was ignored, it'd be fine. Most people are ignored. I have been pointedly and articulately, intelligently designed around a malicious conspiracy that has set me up to fail again and again and again and again and again. I'm sick of it. I need an acknowledgement from the government before, I think it's the 19th of February, 9th or something, in 10 days' time. My work cover case goes to the AAT. I've already explained the situation to Amelia Cash, and I actually said to her, do not send me to Lifeline or the Helpline. Do not pathologise me. I need justice, not welfare. And she got a representative of hers who remains without a name. So it's, again, she hasn't seen it, doesn't know who I am really. And she has literally delayed and deferred that, and that is happening there because I'm likely a TPD with my memory if I only had a neurologist in order to examine me, which I haven't got or never seen. And in addition to that hospital admission, I can't feel my feet up to about my shins. It's like I've got dead socks on. I've marginalised healthcare problems from that assault, and I'll just say while it's on the top of my head, I went to the Health Complaints Commissioner. They deflected, and we have freedom of information from the hospital said go to the Health Complaints Commissioner for conciliation, and I did, but I had a complaint with the Mental Health Complaints Commissioner. They were found to be biased and in favour of the hospital. They got a response from the hospital. They refused to send it to me till it went past their bank of lawyers. That was a method in which I couldn't act, and they were neutralising my complaint. They are caught. It's Alex Tinter, it's Senator Jennings, Commissioner Jennings, and they are all complicit in this conspiracy. And further to that, I took that complaint to the Victorian Ombudsman, Ben Calder, and Ben, even though it abused the human rights charter by allowing an illegal thing in the hospital. I mean, I know I did it. I killed myself, but the things that led up to that, were actually not related to my mental illness. It was related to actual things that had happened to me. And in that way, and the recording is there on the website, when they take me in with the CAT team, I explain the conspiracy, and they say I've got delusions of grandeur and I need a psychiatrist. Oh, here we go. So by the end of the time that they released me from hospital, they had to agree. They had to call it something to justify me being in there. Adjustment disorder. Well, that's a fancy way of saying, gee, you're stressed out from actual things that are happening. And in that way, it reaffirmed, unsurprisingly to me, the knowledge that I was reacting profoundly to systemic abuse. And that was really shocking. And it is shocking. And I can prove it. It's all on this website. Please have a look through all the details. I'm expecting some kind of traction. Otherwise, they will get their wish and I will be die a vagrant, I think. Or they're going to push me right to the edge. They have been trying to. This is my abrupt opposition to that, in which I want a timely response. Please, I beg of you. Thank you. Looking back over time, I've been framed for a long time. I was in a violent affray as a Buddhist. That's really toxic and terrible for me to have hit someone. However, I thought they were going to be killed, and I intervened to save a public person. The police turned around, even after I was the one bloodied with broken bones and needing stitches, to do the police report. VOCAT pinned it on me as a principal aggressor. That's not right. I realised I was framed only afterwards. Another bunker of people who were aiding and abetting my death was in my PhD. I be consciously aware of the, not consciously, but I was always consciously aware of it, but began to name some childhood sexual abuse issues that happened to me. Actually spoke about it at the State Library of Victoria. It was compiled as part of a PhD. I passed, all that kind of stuff, and I thought I would take it to VOCAT. So if nothing else, if just to be legend as an adult survivor of sexual abuse, because no one ever did. So I took it there. It took 3.5 years for yourlawyer.com.au, that's the place, and about 6 different lawyers to get it in front of a magistrate. I recorded all the calls, I got all the emails, hundreds of emails over years. They witnessed me becoming distressed. I only realised this in hindsight. That was a plan in which I could perhaps extinguish myself before justice. And it went before the magistrate, and then the magistrate ruled it out. They rang me, it's ruled out. And I said, well, where's the evidence of that? Did it even happen? And they said, oh, well, that's confidential, we can't give you that, which is illegal. So I took it to the legal bar, and they condoned that as okay. When it was out of time for appeal, I begged the magistrate for a sound recording of the evidence, and she wrote to me in a simple PDF and said, you were doomed to fail from the start. Now, if you had to use language or vernacular as a way of describing a conspiracy, that is exactly what you'd use if someone's been scapegoated or framed. That's very colourful language to use for someone who's a sexual abuse survivor, and that's illegitimately, inconceivably wrong. It's a part of the movement to desecrate me, and that was one of the reasons I left work, because I'd been working for 2.5 years with a client who was extremely marginalised and couldn't articulate himself well with the heinous child rapes and incest that happened to him. And I spent over a year and a half collating his sexual abuse story for the purposes of VOCAT. When I began to realise this systemic conspiracy and irrational paranoia was happening, which I was already convinced of in my heart, I realised that A, I couldn't face him because it was triggering my own stuff, and B, I was illegitimately framed, so I was not able to actually make a concrete statement on behalf of my client, who I am paid to represent. That is cooked. I'll try and be quick now as time's getting along, but $75,000, that's what HCF owe me. They were my income assist people and my insurer. Excuse me again. They've banned me from calling them. I'm under investigation from them. And in addition, I have caught them doctoring PDFs and documents. At first, they used every excuse under the sun. My doctor wrote down 2016 or something as the date, and they ruled me out already. But the fact was that was about the Pell case or something, and the doctor's report was wrong. It's not a prior existing illness that I left work for. It was a huge a cosmic ballet of things that made me leave work. I couldn't legitimately do my job because I'd been framed in the conspiracy, and additionally I'd been framed, but I've been triggered by his consistent abuse, which I can't share because I will respect his privacy, but I won't respect the government's. No way. I've got nothing else to lose. But he was very abusive, and we did put in place some new contract agreements that would mean that he couldn't call or contact me, which is I think what the government's rejected me on the WorkSafe front with, and the Comcare Safe thing, and which is going to the Ministry of Appeals Tribunal. I don't even know why they're rejecting me, but they've got it in about 9 days' time for half an hour on an afternoon. It's supposed to go for a whole day. I'm a marginalised person. I don't have a representative. I don't understand the law. The government, who has already killed me, has got a highfalutin lawyer who's worked with Comcare and work cover cases for 20 years. They are going to absolutely bury me in that half an hour. And because I probably am a TPD, which is like over $1 million, there you go, there's $1 million, or my work cover for however long, 95% of your wage for however long it goes, I don't even know. I was making 120 grand a year doing my job. I don't kill myself for fun, and I don't leave work for fun. These were legitimate reasons, and HCF refused to give it to me, and they still refuse to acknowledge me to this day, even though I caught them out with slanderous and edited versions of PDF forms, which I caught them out with as fraud, and I emailed Sheena Jack, the CEO. They still won't get back to me. That's another case of, another person conspiring against me. I'm trying to speak quick. There's a lot to say. HCF refused me on that stress was a prior mental illness. Who'd have thought? And of course, when you've got a public presentation as someone who has already been slandered, say by the Herald Sun, there's another vilification case, in public, and it's an insurance company, obviously they're going to use it against you, which wasn't the reason at all. And they said to me, if I get work cover for the same condition, then they'll pay it. Now, I'd had enough fighting them, so even though I disagreed with their ethics and stuff, I just went for work cover anyway. WorkSafe wouldn't help me. They said go to Comcare. So I went to Comcare, who's the insurer for the NDIA, who I have contracts for, who I am an employer for and a worker under the NDIS guidelines, and who I should have actually, through the enterprise agreement, been insured for, and also had with the OCO or COC, I think it is, the government's insurance thing. I mean, there's so many things I missed out on. I didn't know about this enterprise agreement. Anyway, that's another issue, but Comcare rejected me. The head there was Paul Fowler. I had things disappear off my email system. They gaslighted, delayed, deferred. It went on and on and on. It's still going on. Paul Fowler was the old head at WorkSafe. WorkSafe refused to help me. That's corruption. I let them know that, and they act with impunity, and they act with a bellicose sense of entitlement. And I can't believe that the systems that are in place are so untouchable. I have a voice. That's me. That's my sentience. that's I'm telling a story here. We live storied lives. These are people in positions of privilege and power, and they're paid by the government to toe the party line to further oppress and reject me and rob me of prosperity. And that is the way it's been for a long time. And in actual fact, I had been on pension before, many years ago, for a different reason. And I did my PhD, started a business, had a break. What did the government do? I was still on a break, and they put me on job seeker. They were well aware that I had literally died in a hospital, and that there was a cover-up, and I have all those recordings as the evidence, as all the evidence that I've said today, and they put me on job seeker and expected me to look for work. I was already on leave for a political reason, and a personal reason, and this was unbelievable. And to AFCA. AFCA is the Australian Financial Complaints Authority. I've had complaints with them for over 2.5 years. They have not acted in a timely manner. They have not acted in an ethical manner. And I know that they were conspiring with HCF to kick and delay the can down the road, because I emailed them both and emailed a lot of people begging them to atone the overdue determinations so I wouldn't become distressed and homeless and a vagrant. And then that happened, the reason why I was hospitalised. That amplified with the non-validation of child sexual abuse, and you being framed by a former partner and hitmen and all that kind of stuff, and your very dignity and possessions taken away from you and ostracised from your simple life in which you only really trust your dog, adds up to... that was the tragedy of the suicide attempt. And it was also medical malpractice, because they gave me stuff that I didn't need, and the stuff I need they didn't give me. So that's another issue. But AFCA have held on to those determinations, and they well knew, and to this day I am now homeless. They are holding on to over potentially $2 million in overdue determinations. I knew that this was a conspiracy to pervert the course of justice, so I said to the staff, what if I named you, So they've come up with this plan. I'm not allowed to contact them in any which way whatsoever, in writing or in email or on the phone. Otherwise, they instantly drop all of my cases. Bang, lose $2 million. That's blackmail. I'm already homeless as we speak. I have hired very recently an advocate. I'm not sure that I trust him, and I think AFCA's got to follow the guidelines of what is fair and reasonable, as what AFCA or ASIC says, and they're not doing that, and they well know that I am now a vagrant, and now you all know, and I'm pointing you out, Tim Goss and Peter Fisher, for this incredibly conceited way of delaying and deferring, which you well know beyond reasonable doubt is causing me vagrancy and putting me at further risk of death, because I'm a suicide survivor. It's as simple as that. It's absolutely corrupt, it's mean, and it's a conspiracy to pervert the course of justice, which is a similar theme of the methodology that got me killed in the first place. So what is happening now is they're trying to replicate that feeling for me of making it so desperate for me, with the full knowledge I'm a 3-time suicide survivor, and they know I'm homeless, and that is unethical, and it is against, I think it's ASIC's rules that things must be done in a timely manner and an ethical manner. And further to ASIC, they said to me, if you can prove you shouldn't have become bankrupt, which I shouldn't have, then we'll wipe it. And I said, well, here you go. My former partner owns me this, HCF owed me this, Comic owed me this, AFCA owed me this, and I've got a recording of them just gaslighting the whole thing. They don't even know who my the person organising my bankruptcy is. It's an absolutely heinous cook-up. They don't know what they're doing, but they know what they're doing so far as they know they're fucking me over, that's for sure. But AFCA, I'm calling you out, and Michaelia Cash, I've already told you about AFCA, I've already told you about HCF, I've already told you about all these things, including Comcare and AAT, and that I'm going to lose another $1 million in a few months' time, in 9 days' time. I want the government to act, and I want them to act now. I don't really want that money. I don't need all that money, and if I did get a lot of money, I would put it towards living a simple life with my dog, and I would also create a non-for-profit charity helping marginalised people to avoid suffering, as I've always done. And you can see in richmclean.com.au down there all the advocacy I've done over the years. My art, and I might get back into drawing too, because that brings me a lot of peace, but I haven't done it in a lot of years. Anyway, that's the Africa story. The NDIA. I'm an NDIS. I'm an odd character because I'm not only a participant of the NDIS, I'm also a accredited therapeutic support and artist life coach and arts therapist. I emailed the Honourable, apparently, Linda Reynolds, CSC. I said, please read, and if you can't help me, please do not hurt me. She well knows that these overdue invoices to be paid to me are well overdue. There's 42 of them. It would have avoided this situation of vagrancy. They are well aware of it. I actually don't have a local area coordinator, as most people do. I've had the last 4 people who were helping me disappear. I've had that's because I think they're intercepted and I'm framed with something. I don't know. It must be something so taboo. I explained the movement of oppression. I explained everything that I've explained so far, and I said, I'm rendered a vagrant. Please address this urgently. I have no LAC. Please address this urgently. I have no support. Please address this urgently. I haven't got a doctor. I haven't got a psychologist. I haven't got a psychiatrist. I've been directed to the NDIA, but they deflect and defer any outcome. I needed an urgent plan review, but no date is forthcoming. Please address this urgently. I've always said to them, if I got the justice I need, not the welfare that they promised, I wouldn't even need welfare. I've had people such as the Brotherhood of St. Lawrence who refuse to act for me, and they won't even give me a box of potatoes. The thing is, with McKillie Cash and stuff, like, I actually articulated to her that I don't need welfare or Saints Helpline. I told her that. I need justice. I need you to act. You're the Attorney General who oversees these statutory government organisations such as Comcare, such as AFCA, such as the Ombudsman, such as APRA, all these things, they're all under her. I told her explicitly all was going wrong. She's complicit and absolutely knows that I'm going to be destroyed in 7 days' time. I don't accept that. Oh, and I don't accept that the NDIA have, I've told them, I'm hungry. I'm squatting, my rent is late, and now it's overdue. My dog has no food. That really gets me. I've been hospitalised twice because a crime of poverty and this movement to destroy me in the last year, which amplifies already existing societal prejudices about mental health. I barely have a GP. The hospital let me go unethically out of the hospital the first time in March 2021. I was squatting with no food, no job, no car. That's against hospital policy. I go, do you have anything to say? My family's found it hard to accept. My friends in the movement was born to victim blame myself in brutal stigma and oppression. I've been so appallingly gaslighted, ignored and rejected over years and years, it drove me to suicide. Now there is a cover-up about that. And I have written to compensation at NDIS, but they didn't respond. So I asked her to respond. She did not. She's got some big knob bloody person to give me a call who hasn't done anything. In actual fact, they are watching it happen and they are aiding and abetting my death. The CEO of the hospital was so thrilled with his immunity from being sued, and he knew that I couldn't go to the police, and he knew that I couldn't get a lawyer. The Ombudsman, Ben Calder, said, oh, an apology's enough. Well, the apology from the hospital said a funny thing. Very odd. It said, we apologise for returning to you the broken, dirty toilet brush. That was what I initially used to try and sever my artery. When I went to the ICU unit, the care unit, they returned that in my clothes as a bit of a slap in the face. We didn't want you to do this in our hospital, and you won't get away with it. And anyway, so the hospital apology wasn't for the malpractice. It wasn't for the systemic abuse that led to the suicide. It wasn't for the abandonment of duty of care. It wasn't for the human rights abuses. It wasn't for the misdiagnosis. It wasn't for any of that. They apologised for returning a broken toilet brush to me because that's not hospital policy. And that's with the audacity with which this movement works, because they know, and the CEO of the hospital acted with such smugness and was so audacious, extremely aware that he can act with impunity before the law and authorities. He dared to sue me personally and directly for all of that led up to that, and the issue of the let's call it the suicide or the death or the murder framed by his hospital. He said sue him directly and personally. Now that's the kind of audacity that this movement acts with. I swear I'm a famous vagrant. I feel I'm alone a lot of the time, and I can speak when I'm just by myself. But when I'm out and about, it's a little bit different. It's the government's responsibility to look after its citizens, especially its marginalised citizens. And you can treat a society, you can judge a society on how well it treats its most marginalised citizens. I want to say I'll be... so that's the NDIS stuff. I mean, they could have saved me so much money and afforded me so much help, but they haven't done anything of the sort, and I've written to the minister and nothing's happened. It's pretty obvious by the all the evidence here that I've been treated pretty bad despite my best efforts at life. I demand whistleblower status. I demand a lawyer. I demand some acknowledgement from the government that this has happened. Failing that, I ask the public to support me until such time as I can take the government to account myself in the Federal Circuit Court or the Supreme Court of this country. My name is Dr. Rich Mclean. I'm an artist, author, advocate. You can see my artwork, and if you can't support me, that's okay. Just please don't hurt me. But you can see my last prior life before this website below. You can see my art. If you can't support me in a financial way, please share it. Just share it. There's a story to be told here. It really resonates with a lot of people who have suffered at the hands of tyranny and oppression. And I've, without a doubt, proven beyond reasonable doubt that I will act for advocacy and human rights, and I've done so my whole life. Have a look at the advocacy reviews below down on richmclean.com.au to see it. I don't need much to survive. I'm just asking some people to invest in it, and you'll be repaid handsomely, because I don't think the government's going to acknowledge this. I think I'm going to be screwed the whole way. But if I take this to the Supreme Court, you can view by yourself with the evidence. They're not going to be able to get away with it. Delay and defer is not a reasonable thing. It's not reasonable to kill yourself in a hospital and have nothing happen. It's not reasonable not to be able to go to the police. It's not reasonable to have statutory organisations and government authorities absolutely cooked. It's not reasonable that you pointed out specifically to the Attorney General of the country, and then she sent you to the Slain Helpline in a brutal show of discrimination and oppression. So I will get my handsome reward, and the people that support me will be rewarded handsomely as well. I'll even donate an extra 25% to a charity of your choice, because I know not if, but when I win, I'm not going to need all the money I have. I just want to live a simple life, free from oppression. I don't want to die, and I want to have a home as of next week, and I don't want to be screwed over, even though the Attorney General knows what's going to happen, and I know what's going to happen, because I've been set up to fail 100 times, at the Administrative Appeals Tribunal with my work cover case, which is now TBD, next week. So, someone had better act, and act fast. Otherwise, I'm taking this evidence and all of my facts, and I will take it retrospectively, and hopefully it will be supported and shared, and enjoy my art, public people. have a look. I might even be around for a talk or something, or I don't know, make a good book, I reckon. But anyway, thank you very much for listening. Please act with compassion when considering all this. I'm a real person. I have sentience. Everyone with sentience deserves acknowledgement and love. And there's not much around for me. Love my dog. Crystal, can you say I love you? Crystal. She's not going to say it. She's pissed off with me because I've been on a computer all day. Thank you very much for listening. Go see richmclean.com and check out all the evidence on killim.info because they're literally trying to kill me. Thank you.